I want to welcome you to Dream Chasers Radio with me, your host, Yaya Diamond. What's up, people? How you doing? It is a great day. It is early. It is early, but it's not early where my guest is. My next guest has worked with all kinds of people. Like, okay, I'm going to make sure I say this right, because if I don't, I'm going to be like wrong. And I don't want to be wrong. So Red Bull, Adidas, Disney Plus, Nordstrom, Sony, PlayStation, Converse, McDonald, Samsung, Dior, and he's helped them stand out in the digital marketplace. I want to welcome Mr. Ross Symons. And I hope I said that right? Symons?
You did. It is Symons. A lot of people get it wrong, so I appreciate that. Thank you.
Hey, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
Oh, thank you for being on the show. I know that you're in Cape Town, South Africa right now. And that is so cool because my program actually airs down there. And so that's really good. That's really good.
Amazing.
So before anything, we always like to get the backstory here. So how did this all happen for you?
Yeah, so I am an origami artist. Essentially, I fold paper for a living. I blended that skill with stop frame animation, which is, if you've ever watched any claymation movie, if you've ever watched Wallace and Gromit, or one of the classic movies, I guess, would be The Nightmare Before Christmas, that style of, or the new Pinocchio film that's out at the moment. That's all done with stop frame animation. So I'm an animator, I'm a stop frame animator and an origami artist. Origami, essentially, if you've never heard of it before, is the Japanese art of folding paper, taking a sheet of paper and folding it into pretty much anything. So I learned how to design in origami or with origami. And yeah, just, I guess, where to start? I mean, I come from an advertising background. It's not something you wake up and, you don't wake up one day and go like, you know what, I want to become an origami artist. It's not something that I still get up in the morning. I still get up in the morning. I'm like, is that really what I do? I fold paper for a living. I mean, it's a little bit more than that, but essentially that's the basics of it. I worked in advertising for many years, studied a couple of things. I eventually worked at a big agency in Cape Town, South Africa. And while I was doing that, I had this fascination with origami. It was just something, a pastime. It was a hobby. It was something I was doing on the side. And I decided that I wanted to document myself trying to get better at origami. So folding one piece every day for an entire year, that was the idea that I had. And I was going to document the whole process on Instagram. And bear in mind, this was in 2014. So 2014 was pretty much where Instagram was just starting to become like super popular, definitely in South Africa, in Cape Town, and around the world. So I think I caught it at the right time. I just started doing this project. It was just good timing. And I started posting day one of 365. I'd find a design online or in a book, fold it, take a photo of it, and then post it onto Instagram. And again, it was just a digital record I wanted to keep of whatever it was I was doing. I didn't really know what I was doing, but I was working at the time. And just as the year went on, I ended up quitting my job. The work I was doing, I was a web developer. So that kind of work on a freelance basis was quite available. And I had that, I guess, sort of source of income coming in. So it was freelance projects, but I'd never really quit a job before. I'd never really thought, okay, I'm going to go do something on my own. But when I did that, a couple of amazing things started happening. I got a lot more freelance work with, doing the web work. And then somebody approached me and they said, hey, you're doing this thing on Instagram with, posting every day. We've got a client who wants an origami. I guess it was an installation that they wanted for one of their restaurants in an area down here in the Western Cape. And they said, could you design a little origami thing? And, we need 300 of them. It was an origami pig. They needed me to do, it was for a place called the Bacon Bar. So they wanted to create this little installation for the place. And they said, cool, well, just send us a quote and let us know how much it's going to cost. And I was like, how much is it going to cost? Like, what, you're going to pay me for this? Okay, whatever. Folded the pigs, got paid. I was like, wow, this is amazing. This was about halfway through the year. I had the same client come back to say, hey, we loved what you did with the pigs. Could you do a little art installation for us? Created the arts installation, got paid for that. And I was like, well, I'm the only person really doing this. And, I'm getting these requests here and there. And every day I was just posting, carrying on. This is about 6 months through. And short, but the long and short of it is, by the end of the year, just being featured on blogs, by Instagram, getting interviewed by people because I was doing something different. I managed to collect quite a large following on Instagram, and it was around that time that I also started making these little animations. So essentially watching a piece of paper slide into the screen and then folding into whatever it is step by step, telling little stories, and brands saw that and they were like, wow, this guy's doing something different. It's eye-catching. It's not something you see every day. Maybe he can do some work for us. And the first big project I got was for, I think it was, Christian Dior in France.
Wow.
And I couldn't believe it. I was like, what is going on? Like, I've got all these people following me now and DMing me and like, hey, we'd love to do some work with you. And then I get this random email out of nowhere. It's like, hey, we'd love to do this campaign with you, stop motion animation with Origami. And that was, I think when I got that job, I realized, I was like, wow, maybe I should just focus all my attention on that. And that
I
was
think
at the end of 2014. I just said, you know what, let's just see what happens. Let's just give this a go. The worst that could happen is I run out of money. I can go back to the freelance work or go get a job again, which, fortunately I had a skill that was in quite high demand. And that was 2014. And I haven't really looked back since. I mean, I say that it has been quite a roller coaster for, if you, any entrepreneurial journey or on a freelance basis, it's not easy. It's, there's time, you have to work out a whole bunch of stuff. You have to work out how to get more work. You have to work out how to do your taxes. You have to work out all these things. But just over time, I taught myself a lot of things. I taught myself how to use the entire Adobe suite. So that was Photoshop, Illustrator, After Effects. I learned how to animate, and just as a result of doing that and seeing what kinds of projects were coming along my way, I was just like, okay, cool. Let's just take this seriously and do that. And then every brand that came and said, hey, we'd love for you to create some content for us, every time I get a job, I'm just like, wow, this is amazing. And I'm humbled by it because it's not something I expected. It's not something I directly set out to do. And I just feel that I want to be, or I am an example of just a normal, ordinary person, just trying to do something different, or trying to just at least explore what it feels like to go and try something that not many people do. And and I've benefited from it. And in fact, the fact that I'm sitting, on the other side of the screen talking to you, to me, is testament to that.
I mean, paper.
Yeah.
It's like, I think I'm just gonna go ahead and fold the paper and document the paper while I have. I mean, it's like, you like my pigs? Oh, cool. Okay, and you want how much? Oh, I'll take it.
Oh, you're gonna pay me for it?
I
Okay.
know, right? It's like, okay, you're gonna pay me to fold paper. It just a minute. Give me a minute to process this. I literally love that. I literally love that because so many people out there think that their talent is dispensable. It's just something they do and it doesn't matter. It doesn't, you know what I mean? But that's not the truth. There's so many people out there that don't have the time to do it, don't want to do it, and will hire you to do it.
Exactly.
Oh my gosh. That
Yeah.
is
And
amazing.
I think a lot of people,
Congratulations.
thank you very much. I think a lot of people stop when they start thinking about it, if that makes sense. I just, up until now, I have not thought about it. I have not allowed myself those negative or potentially, harmful thoughts in terms of, ending the business entirely. If I have to really sit and think like, but who's going to pay for another animation? Who's really going to want more branded content? Who's really going to, if I really sit and, think about that too much, I would have stopped long ago. But every time I do get those thoughts, I just fold a piece of paper and I'm like, okay, cool. Maybe that's my way of, just getting through it. It is quite, I mean, the origami itself is quite meditative. So, and I am quite a patient person. So I think that it's just, and I wasn't very good at it at the beginning. I was actually very bad. You can actually go look on my Instagram account if you want to go check it out. It's pretty much like, I haven't removed a single post because for me, I want to know that all almost 1,400 posts that I've put up there are a collection of how bad I really was at the beginning and how much better I got over time. And that's for me and anyone else who's interested in it. So, and I love doing that. I love going onto other people's Instagram accounts, people with, maybe like 1 million followers. And I go all the way back to their original posts. And when you see some of the stuff that they posted, you kind of like, everyone starts at zero, like when you open up an Instagram account or TikTok or whatever it is, everybody starts with 0 followers, 0 following, and 0 posts. Just remember that.
Terrible posts.
Exactly.
Terrible posts. It's like, did I do that? Really?
Yeah.
Did I look like that? Oh. Yeah, definitely. Wow. So, I mean, with everything that has happened so far, and like, okay, so you started with the Instagram post, and then all of a sudden you got the pig thing, and then all of a sudden you got Dior, right? Was it Dior you said?
That was about 6 months afterwards. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, after Dior, what went through your mind? Because I know you said, okay, I'm going to go ahead and make this a go, but there's always that click, that switch, that, oh my God, what just happened? What happened to you? Let's say about a week or 2 later, or right in that little time frame right there. What happened to your mindset?
To say exactly what it was would be quite difficult, but I definitely know that during that time, I was very adamant that I needed to start calling myself an artist, because that was a big deal for me. I was like, okay, cool. I need to start, putting it out there and telling people that this is what I'm doing now. I remember bumping into someone, an old friend of mine, and he's like, so how's your, advertising gig going? I'm like, I don't do that anymore. I'm an artist. And he was like, huh? And then I explained the whole thing, what happened, Instagram, I've got brands approaching me to do some work for them. And he was also exactly like you. He's like, but I mean, paper, like, doesn't make sense at all. And I think that at that point, as soon as I decided to own that role, decided to be like, you know what, I owe it to myself to at least try, be humble as much as possible, but also just, I've always never back down to telling somebody, listen, this is what I do, and this is how I can help you, and this is how we can work together. I guess that's maybe the entrepreneur in me that's trying to make that thing happen. Not to say that it can't happen any other way, but it was around that time at the beginning of 2015 where I was just like, let me just see what happens and keep pushing. And every person I met and every conversation I had was just about, I found a way to like, oh yeah, so I've got this thing going on, and and people are like, whoa, dude, this is so cool. How did you do it? How did you start it? And again, you tell 50 people that could be potential business partners, and one person gets back to you. So it is, you have to be pretty relentless and get your stuff out there.
Definitely. So what is the importance of money management and the artistry and the entrepreneurship?
I get approached by a lot of people, be it friends or people that have seen what I've achieved. And they're always like, okay, but how would I take my thing and turn it into a job, or turn it into money? And I think it's kind of going about it the wrong way. I think I'd strongly believe that if you do the thing you enjoy for long enough, and you are open to the opportunities that potentially come your way, it will turn into something. I think it's easy to look at me now, I've got this Instagram following, and I've been working with all these big brands, but, overnight success is over 10 years. It's like, it's one of those things. It takes time, and you really just have to, do what you can to understand the money side of it. I think that creative people in general really struggle with that. They don't know how much to charge. It's like, but how am I? And I did that at the beginning. I just started surrounding myself with people and having conversations, very, for me, those were bold conversations about how do I charge? How, asking people who have started businesses, asking other successful artists, saying, how do I do this? And they say, well, what do you feel your time is worth? Break that down into hours and start there. And then, and the more I did that, the more I'd get a job. And then you get a little bit cheeky. You kind of like, well, I charged that much last time. Let's just bump it up 20% and see what happens. And then they pay. And you're like, whoa, let's do that again. Next time you bump it up 50%. And then the next time you bump it up 100%, and they say, man, you must be smoking all day. I'm not paying that. And that's, it comes with the territory. Sometimes you're going to get it, and sometimes you're not.
Yeah.
But for me, it's always been the whole money thing has always been a game. It's always been like, yes, I need to eat and I've got to survive. But it's at the end of the day, you kind of have to work out what the person's asking for, what channel they came through to find you. If somebody has come up to you and said, I know who you are, I love your work, and I want to work with you, you've got them, they're yours. So without, completely just messing up the relationship by charging too much money, just try and understand that they appreciate what you do. And if you set a high enough value to your work, people will pay for it.
Yeah. Yeah. You're right. It's very hard as an artist to actually set that price because you want to be affordable. You don't really think that what you do is that complicated, but it's such in high demand that it's like, okay, I'm confused. Because it does confuse you. It's like, can't you do this by yourself?
Yeah.
You know?
Exactly. And I think, a lot of people don't realize, you think all it took was for me to do that, and that. And that's exactly it. But I think people take for granted. It's also imposter syndrome. Everybody has that. You're kind of like, well, why would they ask me to do it when I know very well that they could do it? And I guess the more you start doing that, the more you realize that the skill that you're developing, it might be so, riches in the niches, finding that groove that's yours, that becomes, it's like a musician. I mean, you would know, like how many people can sing? How many people can play the guitar? How many people can dance? Millions. And yet some people just stick out for whatever reason. And you can pick them out and be like, The Weeknd sounds a little bit like Michael Jackson, maybe. And you can break it down. Or this person sounds like that. You can hear those person's licks in the guitar. But you've got to pick up inspiration from somewhere. And collectively, that's who you are. You are a collection of all your inspiration. So use that and just go and find whatever your groove is and try and make the most of it. You owe it to yourself, at least, I believe. And I'm on that path. And I really want to just try and help people see that they can do that for themselves as well.
Definitely. I think you're right. I mean, you're not trying to talk yourself out of a job, but you're trying to say, why aren't you like, you know, it's like, it's mind boggling to artists, artists and people that have talent, why people aren't doing that. But at the same time, it's like, okay, well, I'll charge you for it. Okay. So
Exactly.
let me ask you a question. AI. That's
Mm-hmm.
the question.
Mm-hmm.
AI. What are you
AI.
going to do? Because AI is becoming a big thing. It's been out for a minute, but people are
Mm-hmm.
discovering it now. So what are you, how are you intermeshing that with your talent?
Look, AI is here to stay, I believe.
Hmm.
I come from a technical background and I've seen everything that's led up to that. So I think I understand it well enough to know, like, okay, cool. This is going to really springboard a lot of things into the future of creativity. Let's stay in that industry, for example. I think a lot of people they're very wary of it. They don't understand it, and they think it's this big monster that's been created by other people monsters to come and just eat everybody up and kill them and take away their jobs and take away their livelihoods. And if you believe that, then it's going to be true. That's, it's like anything. So I'm not here to convince you otherwise, but I think that you, as a creative person, you owe it to yourself to at least try and understand what these tools can do, and not, not on a technical level, but just understand that it can help you. Anything, the chat GPTs, the all, DALL-E or Midjourney or whatever, all these particularly, I feel, the for creative people, the text to image generation tools
I love
are
that.
they're very cool. And I mean, I just think that it can create something that a designer would take maybe a week to create. Yes, it can do that, but you must remember that you are still the person behind the machine typing the thing in. It didn't randomly create that out of nowhere. So yes,
Right.
anybody can do that. And back to what we were saying earlier, it's like, why would somebody pay me to do that? But if you learn how those tools work, then your process for creating and process for executing just becomes so much quicker. And I honestly believe that the true creatives, or the creatives that are going to survive, are the people who can do things quickly.
Hmm.
Do things, and that's what these AI tools are here to do. They are here to make things go quickly. And if you're not on this wagon, I'm telling you that it's life is going to be very different for you, and it's going to be difficult for you to catch up. So just try and understand it. So that's my approach. I'm trying to integrate as many of the tools as possible, be it in animation or concept, I guess, generation, and not to use it so that I can show, well, for me, it's more about just showing what these tools can do. And hopefully others can see that as well. But I just think that it's here to stay. And yeah, if you're not on board, then you can still be a traditional artist. And some people are going to, really hate on this whole AI thing. It's like any technology, anything new. It's just like haters gonna hate. The saying. So
You're right.
exactly. So that's my take on it. But to me, I am so excited about it. I think it's
Me
going to
too.
open up new. Yeah, I'm glad it's going to open up new just pathways for every single industry. And yeah, I think it's going to be very interesting these next couple of years.
Oh yeah, I think so too. Using AI in conjunction with your origami, how are you integrating that? I mean, is it easier for you to come up with a design to maybe send out to your client so that they can kind of maybe get an example instead of having to actually do it and then take a picture of it and then send it?
Exactly. You pretty much explained that. I mean, I haven't at this stage haven't had the opportunity to do that, but that's essentially how I would do it. It would be, instead of me looking on Pinterest or Google Images for an origami, maybe something I've folded a lot of things, but often I get asked, Ross, can you design an origami light bulb or origami beer mug or origami, logo of some kind? And now, instead of me having to search the internet for what exists, I can create something that doesn't exist, but it can be pretty close to what could exist, if that makes
Right.
sense. So using a text to image generator, like origami Nike swish. I actually did a little conceptual idea on Instagram where I merged, the idea was, what would origami and Nike shoes blended together with AI technology look like? And it was like very origami-esque, paper style shoes, and they looked cool. And the reaction that I got from people was like, whoa, this is so insane. So if that's just the conceptual side of it, essentially take it one step further would be me designing what the AI created as an image. So it's like, cool, let me take these shoes, I can physically design them, and that would turn into, be it an installation or an animation of some kind. Because that's kind of where AI is at the moment. It's still the animation stuff is coming, but it's still very static image driven.
Right. I
So
can't
getting
wait
at,
for the animation.
yeah, exactly. Well, imagine, I mean, I had this thought the other day, like you'd be able to create your own Netflix series in like
I
a
would love
minute.
that.
Imagine,
Yes. I
imagine
got
you're
it.
sitting there
Yes.
typing like, I want to watch a movie starring, Harrison Ford,
Yep.
and it's about this, and there we go,
That
and it
would
pops up.
revolutionize the movie industry as well.
It would also kill it in many ways
It
because you
would.
wouldn't need
Well, not
actors, you
I
wouldn't need.
don't think so. I think that actors are essential. I think that's more gonna it's gonna more give people the opportunity to create their own, like authors, to create their own environments. You know what I mean? And then the actors can take over, because I love cartoons. I love AI and all that, but there's nothing like a real true actor to take on that part. You can't
Yeah,
make a Denzel Washington, because then that would be a copyright infringement. So,
exactly. Until
you know,
Denzel allows the AI company to copy him,
and then
which
that would
is
make more money for them. I'm telling you.
that's I mean, look, there's a lot of speculation as to where this could go, but that could be a reality. It could be like
Yeah.
artists then, you pay for your likeness, you pay for your voice, you pay for your. I mean, Morgan Freeman is going to make so much
Oh,
money.
oh my God,
Imagine.
that man. I mean, and he started so late in life for him to actually be where he is in such a short time. He's just an inspiration. What kind of advice do you have for people, that are going after something like you, paper? Come on. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm loving this. I think that there's an opportunity in everything, but what kind of advice do you give?
Just get out. I mean, Joe Rogan says this every time. Just get out of your own way. Just stop thinking that it's not going to work. Stop, you know, stop asking for other people's permission. I think we live in a society where you go do the thing, you go to school, get out. If you're fortunate enough, you go to university, you get a degree, and then you go start a family after you've started working for 5 years. And that just does not fit for me. And I know it doesn't fit for, if you're listening to this and you're like, doesn't work for me, then find the thing that you enjoy. And it doesn't have to be your passion. I'm not going to lie, like origami is not my passion. Like I'm more passionate about speaking to people that, that friends of mine than actually folding a piece of paper, but I still get some joy out of it. So follow that thread of joy. If I can leave with, one piece of advice, it would be that try and find the thing or a thing or multiple things that you enjoy, and just do them as much as possible, and find ways, challenge yourself, find ways to like either make some money or reach out to somebody that you admire and say, hey, I'd like to work with you on this, and let's see what happens. But you owe it to yourself to try. Just give yourself a go.
You definitely do. And I appreciate what you've done with paper.
Thank you.
Okay. It's like, if you can do this with just a side project, like, hey, I'm just going to be patient enough to I want to learn origami. There it is. Origami. And then all of a sudden, like, oh, origami? Hey, if people are doing that, then there's a lot of people wasting their talent. And I truly appreciate your tips, your pointers, your life, and your story. Where can people find you?
Thank you. I appreciate you having me on. Instagram is the best place. My brand essentially, or my artist alias, is White on Rice. That's white_on_rice, or white-onrice.com. Just if you have anything you want to chat about, collaboration or a brand project you want to chat about, like, I'm always available. I check my DMs all the time, and I try and respond to all the messages that I get. So, and I appreciate anyone who's willing to, reach out and just say, hey man, listen to your story and I'm doing this thing. Do you have any advice? I'm also okay with that.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for being on. We're going to have all of that information in the description box below, so it'll be easy for you guys to find him. And definitely, if you want to start origami, I think he would be the perfect person for you to reach out to. You might even start with a little pig. I don't know. I mean, you just never know where this thing can take you. I mean, if paper can take him to the top, then what's stopping you? Exactly. Thank you so much for stopping by. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to this channel. Hit that notification bell so you'll be notified the next time that I upload. And don't forget to dare to be different. Until next time, guys. I dare to be different. I dare to be different. I dare to